She didn't mean to message a stranger. She meant to save her daughter. At 12:47 a.m., the city of Chicago felt like it had gone numb. Streets empty, windows dark, the kind of silence that presses against your chest. Elara Quinn sat on the cold tile floor of her studio apartment kitchen, her back against a cabinet that barely held together, her knees pulled close like she was trying to make herself smaller. From the next room, her baby girl was crying. Not the soft kind of crying that fades. This was sharp, hungry, confused. Elara closed her eyes. "Just a minute, Lila, please." Her voice cracked before the sentence finished. The formula tin on the counter was empty. She'd shaken it twice already, like somehow something might magically fall out. It didn't. It never did. Her paycheck was still 3 days away. Her bank account had exactly $3.17. She reached for her phone. Her fingers hovered over a contact saved as Derek, don't ask. Her older brother. The kind of man who helped but made sure you remembered it. She hated asking him. But tonight wasn't about pride. Tonight was about a baby who didn't understand why her stomach hurt. Elara typed slowly. "Hey, I'm really sorry to bother you again. I just need $40 for formula. Lila's almost out. I get paid Friday. I swear I'll send it back." Her thumb trembled. She hit send. She didn't check the number. Didn't reread the name. She just dropped the phone beside her and pressed her forehead against her knees, listening to her daughter cry like it was carving something out of her. 5 minutes later. Buzz. Elara grabbed the phone too fast. The message wasn't from Derek. "I think you meant to send that to someone else." Her stomach dropped. Oh God. Her fingers flew across the screen. "I'm so sorry, wrong number. Please ignore." She locked the phone immediately, like it burned. Another failure. Another mistake. Another reminder that she couldn't even get asking for help right. In a high-rise 20 floors above the same sleeping city, Adrian Voss stared at the message glowing on his private phone. No one had this number. Not assistants. Not press. Not even most of his own family anymore. He read the message again. Not spam. Not polished. Not manipulative. Raw. Desperate. Real. Lila's almost out. He leaned back slowly in his chair, the skyline reflecting off the glass behind him like a world he owned but didn't belong to. He should have ignored it. Any other night he would have. Instead, he typed, "Is your baby okay?" Back in the apartment, Elara stared at the screen, confused. What kind of stranger asks that? Not "who are you?" Not "wrong number." But "is your baby okay?" Her instinct screamed, block him. But something about the way he asked, no pressure, no judgment, made her pause. She typed back, "We'll manage. Sorry again." A second passed. Then, "I can help." Elara let out a short, bitter laugh. "Yeah, right." She typed, "I don't take money from strangers." The reply came instantly. "Then I won't be a stranger. My name's Adrian." She didn't respond. She picked up Lila instead, rocking her gently, whispering soft lies about everything being okay. And then something shifted. Not hope. Not trust. Just exhaustion. The kind that breaks rules you swore you'd never break. Elara looked back at her phone, took a shaky breath, and did the one thing she never imagined she would. She sent him her payment handle. 3 seconds later. Buzz. She checked. Then checked again. $4,000 received. Elara froze. Her breath caught somewhere between disbelief and fear. "This is too much," she typed, hands shaking. "I only needed $40. The reply came calm. "Certain." "Then worry about one less thing." And for the first time in months, Elara Quinn broke. Not because she was broke, but because someone saw her and didn't look away. Elara didn't sleep that night. Even after Lila finally drifted off, her tiny stomach full for the first time in days, her breathing soft and steady. Elara just sat there on the edge of her mattress, phone still clutched in her hand like it might disappear if she blinked too long. $4,000. It was still there. Still real. Her thumb hovered over the screen as she reopened the message thread with Adrian. No emojis. No small talk. No hidden tone. Just that one line. Then worry about one less thing. Who talks like that? Not scammers. Not predators. Not anyone she'd ever met. That's what made it worse. It felt genuine. And genuine things scared her more than anything. She typed. You didn't have to do that. For a moment, nothing. The screen stayed dark. Her chest loosened just slightly. Maybe it was over. Maybe he'd disappear like everything else good in her life. Then, buzz. I know. I wanted to. Elara stared at the words longer than she should have. Across the city, inside a glass-walled penthouse that overlooked half of Chicago, Adrian Voss stood by the window, his reflection faint against the skyline. He hadn't left his office. He rarely did anymore. His phone rested in his hand, the glow of the screen cutting through the dim room. He wasn't used to conversations like this. Most people who reached him wanted something: contracts, influence, leverage. This was different. She hadn't asked for more. Hadn't hinted. Hadn't pushed. Even now, she was trying to give the money back. That told him more about her than any background check ever could. His phone buzzed again. Why would you help someone like me? He exhaled slowly. There were 100 ways to answer that. He chose the only honest one. Because someone once helped me when they didn't have to. On the other side of the city, Elara read the message twice. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't impressive. It was simple. And somehow, heavier than anything else he could have said. Her fingers hovered again. Then I'll pay you back. Adrian's brow lifted slightly. For what? She replied almost instantly. For the formula. For not ignoring me. A pause. Then, I'll figure it out. Adrian let out a quiet breath, something almost like a laugh, but not quite. She was still holding on to her dignity, like it was the only thing keeping her afloat. Even now, even after everything, he respected that more than he expected to. So he typed. What kind of formula does Lila need? Elara froze. Her heart skipped. She hadn't told him her daughter's name. Not once. Her eyes flicked back through the messages. Nothing. No mention. Her chest tightened. How does he know? Her fingers moved slower this time. How do you know her name? 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, you said it. She didn't remember doing that. But she was too tired to fight it. Too overwhelmed to question every detail. So she answered. Gentle care, lactose-free. There was no reply after that. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then 2. Eventually, exhaustion pulled her under. The next morning, a knock at the door. Sharp. Unexpected. Elara's eyes snapped open. Her heart immediately started racing. No one ever knocked. Not here. Not for her. She moved slowly, carefully, pulling her hoodie tighter as she approached the door. Peered through the peephole. A delivery driver. And behind him, boxes. Big ones. Too many. Her stomach flipped. She opened the door just enough. Delivery for Elara Quinn? Her voice came out quieter than she expected. Yeah. Need a signature. Her hand shook as she signed. 1 box. 2. 3. 4. They filled half her living room. The driver left. The door closed. Silence again. Elara stood there for a full 10 seconds before moving. Then slowly she opened the first box. Formula. The exact brand. Second box. Diapers. Wipes. Bottles. Third. Clothes. Soft blankets. Baby food. Not cheap. Not basic. The kind she'd only ever seen on curated Instagram feeds she couldn't relate to. Her vision blurred. At the very bottom of the last box. A small envelope. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside, a single card. She should never have to go without. Adrian. Elara sat back on the floor. Same place as last night. Same cold tiles. But everything felt different. Because now there was only one question left. Who was this man? And what did he really want? Elara didn't touch the boxes again for hours. They stayed exactly where they were, lined up in her small living room like proof that something impossible had just happened. Like if she moved them too quickly, the illusion might break. Lila slept peacefully in her arms, her tiny fingers curled against Elara's shirt, her breathing soft and full. A full stomach. It had been days since that felt normal. Elara rested her cheek against her daughter's head and stared at the wall, her mind running in circles.
People don't do this.
Not like this. Not without a reason. No camera crew. No viral post. No feel-good story attached. Just silence. And a name. Adrian. Her eyes drifted back to her phone sitting on the couch. She didn't want to look him up, because if he turned out to be something dangerous, it would ruin the only good thing that had happened in months. But if she didn't, she'd go insane wondering. Carefully, she reached for her phone and opened the browser. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, then slowly typed, Adrian Voss. The results loaded instantly, and everything in her chest dropped. Adrian Voss, founder and CEO of Voss Biotech Systems. Net worth, $9.6 billion. Private investor. Former defense contractor. Media shy. Reclusive. Widower. No children. Elara blinked.
Once. Twice.
No way. She tapped the first image. A man stepping out of a government building, expression unreadable, eyes sharp, jaw set like stone. Expensive suit. Controlled presence. The kind of man who didn't enter rooms, he owned them. This wasn't just some rich guy. This was that level of rich. The kind of person people wrote articles about, not texted at midnight by accident. Her stomach twisted. So, why me? Her thumb moved back to their conversation. She stared at his last message again. She should never have to go without. It didn't sound like a billionaire. It sounded like someone who had. Elara swallowed hard and typed, Why are you really doing this? This time, the reply didn't come right away. Minutes passed.
5. 10.
Her chest tightened. Maybe she pushed too far. Maybe now he'd disappear. Her phone buzzed. Because I know what it's like to lose someone you couldn't help. Elara froze. Her eyes locked on the screen. There was no performance in that sentence. No polish. Just weight. Real weight. Her fingers moved before she could stop them. I don't want your pity. The response came instantly. It's not pity. It's recognition. Her throat tightened. Something about that word hit deeper than she expected. Recognition. Like he saw something in her she didn't even have the energy to see in herself anymore. A moment passed. Then, do you work? The question felt almost normal.
Grounding.
She leaned back against the couch. I used to. Lab research. Biochem. Company shut down. Daycare closed. Life happened. 3 dots appeared. You were in research?
Yeah.
Diagnostics, mostly. Now I just survive. She almost regretted sending that. But his reply came steady. Come to Voss Biotech tomorrow. 11 a.m. Ask for Claire Donovan. Elara blinked. Her heart skipped. What? No strings. Just a conversation. She stared at the message like it might rearrange itself into something less insane. Are you offering me a job? A pause. Then, I'm offering you a chance to take one back. Elara looked down at Lila. At her soft cheeks. Her peaceful sleep. At everything that had almost broken her. This could be a mistake. A trap. A story that ends badly. But staying where she was? That was already a slow kind of failure. Her grip tightened slightly around her daughter. Then she typed, Okay. The next morning, Elara stood outside a towering glass building in downtown Chicago. Her reflection stared back at her. Thrifted blazer. Simple jeans. Hair pulled back tighter than usual. Lila rested quietly in a soft carrier against her chest. Elara took a breath. Then another. This is insane. But she stepped forward anyway. Because for the first time in a long time, it didn't feel like she was running away from something. It felt like she was stepping into it. Elara had never felt more out of place. The lobby of Voss Biotech in downtown Chicago wasn't loud or flashy. It was worse. Quiet. Controlled. The kind of place where everything had purpose, and she wasn't sure she did. She adjusted Lila's carrier slightly and walked toward the reception desk. Hi. I'm Elara Quinn. I was told to ask for Claire Donovan. The receptionist's expression changed instantly. Recognition. Of course. You're expected. Expected? That word hit harder than anything else. Elara nodded slowly and followed the directions to the private elevator. Her heartbeat picked up with every second the doors stayed closed. This is real. This is actually happening. When the elevator opened, a woman in her early 40s stood waiting, sharp suit, calm eyes, tablet in hand. "Elara," she said with a professional smile. "I'm Claire Donovan, Chief of Staff." Elara shifted her weight slightly. "Nice to meet you." Claire glanced down at Lila, her expression softening just a little. "And this must be the most important person in the building today." That caught Elara off guard. "Yeah, she usually is." Claire gestured down the hallway. "Come with me." They walked past glass offices, quiet workspaces, people who barely looked up, but somehow, Elara felt seen anyway. "I'm not really sure what this is," Elara admitted finally. "This whole thing feels unreal." Claire smiled faintly. "Mr. Voss doesn't deal in unreal. He deals in precision." They stopped in front of a door. Claire unlocked it and stepped aside. "Go ahead." Elara hesitated, then walked in. And froze. It wasn't an office. It was a nursery. A real one. A crib in the corner. Soft rugs. Shelves with toys. Bottles neatly arranged. A changing station. Even blackout curtains pulled halfway to soften the light. Her hand instinctively moved to her mouth. "What is this?" Claire's voice was gentle now. "A space for you to not have to choose." Elara's chest tightened. Choose between work and her child. Between survival and motherhood. She stepped inside slowly, like she might break something just by existing there. Every detail was intentional. Every detail said the same thing.
Someone thought about you.
She turned back, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why?" Claire met her eyes. "Because he knows what it feels like to walk into a room alone." Elara didn't know how to respond to that. So she didn't. 20 minutes later, she sat in a small meeting room. A warm cup of coffee in her hands. Lila asleep beside her. Her nerves hadn't settled. They'd just changed shape. The door opened quietly. And he walked in. Adrian Voss. In person, he felt different. Still composed. Still controlled. But there was something else too, something heavier behind his eyes. Like sleep was optional. But peace wasn't. "Elara," he said like it was the most normal thing in the world. She stood awkwardly. "Hi. Thanks for coming. I wasn't sure if I should." "You came anyway." He sat across from her. "That's what matters." Silence stretched for a moment. Then he leaned forward slightly. "Before anything else, let's be clear. You don't owe me anything." Elara blinked. "This isn't charity," he continued. "And I'm not here to rescue you." She studied his face carefully. "Then what is this?" His answer came without hesitation. "An investment." Her breath caught slightly. "In people," he added. "Not situations." That landed deeper than she expected. He slid a folder across the table. 3-month contract. Flexible hours. Remote if needed. Audit support. She opened it. Her eyes widened. The number was unreal. More than she'd made in months. "This is real?" she asked quietly. "It is." Her gaze dropped to Lila. Then back to him. "And the nursery?" A small pause. Then the faintest hint of a smile. "Also real." Something shifted in her chest. Not trust. Not yet. But something close to it. She closed the folder slowly. Took a breath. Then nodded. "I'll take it." By the end of her first day, Elara realized something important. She wasn't here by accident anymore. She was here because she saw things others missed. And as she stared at the audit system on her screen, patterns began to emerge. Small ones.
Subtle.
But wrong. And deep down, she felt it. This wasn't just a job. This was the beginning of something much bigger. By the end of her second week, Elara stopped feeling like a guest. Not because the building changed, but because she did. Every morning in Chicago started the same way now. Coffee in one hand, Lila balanced against her shoulder, and a quiet promise to herself. Stay sharp. The nursery became Lila's world. Soft toys, quiet music, gentle routines. She adapted faster than Elara ever could. Elara, on the other hand, went straight into the systems. Audit logs. Vendor trails. Financial reconciliations. At first, it was just work. Then it became something else. A pattern. Not obvious. Not sloppy. But wrong. Elara leaned closer to her screen, eyes narrowing. The same vendor name appeared across multiple departments, but never enough to trigger alerts. $1,300. $2,100. $1,850. Always under review thresholds. Always buried. Her fingers moved faster now. Cross-referencing. Tracing. Breaking it apart piece by piece. Her heartbeat picked up. This isn't random. She opened another file. Then another. The vendor didn't exist. Not really. No proper records. No real operational footprint. Just a clean digital shell. A mask. Her stomach tightened. Someone wasn't making a mistake. They were extracting. Slowly.
Carefully.
Intentionally. She copied the data into a private folder. Encrypted it. Then stared at the screen for a long second. Most people would report it through channels. Most people would stay safe. But she remembered Adrian's words. Bring it directly to me. No one else.
Her hands didn't shake this time.
She stood. Adrian's office was quieter than the rest of the floor. Blinds half drawn. City blurred behind them. He didn't look up immediately when she walked in. You found something. Not a question. Elara placed the flash drive on his desk. I think so. He plugged it in without hesitation. Scrolled.
Paused.
Scrolled again. His jaw tightened slightly. This is Q3? It starts there, she said. But it goes back further. He leaned back slowly. The vendor?
Fake.
Shell structure. Funds routed through multiple departments to avoid flags. Silence. Heavy. Then, you're right. Not surprised. Not shocked. Just confirmed. Elara crossed her arms slightly. You already suspected. I've been watching the numbers drift for months, he admitted. But nothing concrete. Now you have something. He looked at her then. Really looked. Now I have you. That landed heavier than she expected. So what happens next? She asked. Adrian's expression hardened just slightly. You keep digging. Her brows lifted. You want me to investigate your own company? I want the truth. No hesitation. No doubt. Just direction. And if it gets ugly? His answer was immediate. It already is. Elara held his gaze, then nodded once. I'm in. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Elara lay awake, staring at the ceiling, Lila curled beside her. Her mind replayed everything. The patterns. The numbers. The way Adrian reacted. Not shocked. Like he already knew who might be behind it. That was the part that bothered her most. Because if he was right, this wasn't some random employee. This was someone close. Someone powerful. The next morning she went deeper. More access. More layers. And then, she found it. A name tied indirectly to the shell structure. Not on paper. Not officially. But buried in system overrides. Authorization trails. Admin level changes. Her breath slowed. Eyes locked on the screen. No way. She grabbed her phone. Typed fast. I found something. It's bigger than we thought. 3 dots appeared instantly. Come to my office.
Now.
10 minutes later, Elara stood in front of him again. This time, no hesitation. She handed him the file. He opened it. 10:23 a.m., April 27th, 2026, business. Read.
Once.
Then again. His jaw tightened harder this time. Not controlled. Not calm. Something darker. Say it, she said quietly. Adrian exhaled slowly. Then looked up. This isn't just fraud. A pause. Then, this is someone inside trying to take control. Elara felt it settle in her chest. Heavy.
Real.
Dangerous. Who? She asked. Adrian didn't answer immediately. But when he did, his voice was colder than she'd ever heard it. Someone who thinks I won't fight back. And in that moment, Elara realized something terrifying. This was never just about money. This was war. 10:23 a.m., April 27th, 2026, business. If this story shocked you, just wait, because what happens next? It's even darker. Because Elara didn't just uncover a fraud, She exposed something powerful people were willing to destroy lives for. And trust me, when the truth starts coming out, they don't stay quiet. So, if you want to see what happens next, who betrays who, and how far this goes, make sure you subscribe right now. And tell me in the comments, backhand index pointing right, what would you do in Elara's place? Because the next part is where everything breaks.